Have you ever sat down to enjoy a piece of fish, thinking you were doing something wonderful for your health, only to discover later that what's on your plate could actually be damaging your brain, harming your heart, and accelerating aging from the inside out? For people over 60 years old, this isn't just theoretical concern. This is backed by sobering research that should make every senior pay attention to their seafood choices. According to a comprehensive study published in the Lancet in 2023, consuming the wrong types of fish just twice per week can increase your risk of stroke and accelerated cognitive decline by as much as 70 to 80%. That's not a small increase, that's a dramatic elevation in risk that could mean the difference between maintaining your independence and facing serious neurological problems. I'm Dr. James Whittaker, a board-certified urologist and general doctor with over 20 years of clinical experience. And today I'm going to walk you through the complete truth about fish consumption after age 60. I'm going to reveal the 4 fish you should absolutely never touch because of their mercury content, toxin accumulation, and inflammatory properties. And then I'm going to give you the 4 fish you must eat regularly to protect your brain, strengthen your heart, reduce inflammation, and slow the aging process from the cellular level. Every single claim I make in this video is backed by peer-reviewed scientific research, not rumors, not fear-mongering, but actual published studies from respected medical journals. Before we dive into this critical information, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss any of my evidence-based health content. And I want you to drop a comment below, letting me know what country you're watching from and what types of fish you currently eat most often, because I love connecting with viewers around the world and understanding your dietary habits and health challenges. Now, here's the reality that most people don't understand. Not all fish are created equal when it comes to health benefits and risks. Some fish are genuinely among the healthiest foods you can possibly consume, packed with omega-3 fatty acids that reduce inflammation, high-quality protein that maintains muscle mass, and critical nutrients that protect cognitive function. But other fish, despite being marketed as healthy seafood options, are loaded with mercury, industrial pollutants, inflammatory fats, and even antibiotic residues that create serious health risks, especially for older adults whose bodies process toxins less efficiently than younger people. The problem is that most seniors have no idea which fish fall into which category, and the seafood industry certainly isn't going out of their way to educate consumers about these dangers. So millions of older adults are regularly consuming fish they believe are healthy choices, when in reality they're slowly accumulating toxins, promoting inflammation, and increasing their risk of cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and other serious health problems. But here's the encouraging news. Recent findings published in the Journal of Gerontology demonstrate that consuming the right types of fish can lower your risk of Alzheimer's disease by up to 40%, significantly reduce cardiovascular disease risk, improve joint health, and actually slow biological aging at the cellular level. The omega-3 fatty acids in certain fish have been shown to preserve telomere length, which is a marker of cellular aging, meaning these fish literally help you age more slowly from the inside out. So the question isn't whether you should eat fish. The question is, which fish should you eat and which ones should you avoid completely? Let me start by telling you about Harold, a 71-year-old retired accountant who came to see me about 9 months ago, concerned about progressive memory problems and what he described as brain fog that was getting worse over the previous year. Harold told me he was having trouble remembering names, he would lose his train of thought in the middle of conversations, and he was worried that he might be developing dementia because his father had suffered from Alzheimer's disease. When I reviewed Harold's medical history and his dietary habits, I discovered that he was eating canned tuna fish almost every single day, sometimes twice a day, because he had read that fish was good for brain health and tuna was convenient and affordable. Harold had been following this pattern for several years, convinced he was making a smart choice for his cognitive health. I immediately suspected mercury toxicity and ordered a heavy metals panel. And when the results came back, Harold's blood mercury level was more than 3 times the upper limit of normal. We immediately eliminated all tuna from his diet, implemented a mercury detoxification protocol, and replaced his daily tuna with safer fish options that I'm going to discuss with you today. Within 3 months, Harold's mercury levels had normalized, and more importantly, his cognitive symptoms had dramatically improved. His memory was sharper, his brain fog had cleared, and he said he felt mentally clearer than he had in years. Harold's story illustrates a critical point. The fish you choose to eat matters enormously for your brain health and your overall well-being. And making the wrong choices, even with good intentions, can have serious consequences. Now let me walk you through the 4 fish you should never touch after age 60, starting with number 4 and working our way to the absolute worst offender. The fourth fish you must avoid is imported catfish, particularly catfish that's farm-raised in certain countries in Asia where food safety regulations are minimal or non-existent. Now, at first glance, catfish might seem like a perfectly harmless and even economical choice. It's mild in flavor, it's relatively inexpensive, and it's widely available in grocery stores and restaurants across America. But here's what most people don't know. Imported farm-raised catfish, particularly from Vietnam and China, is one of the most contaminated fish you can possibly consume. The problems begin with how these fish are raised in extremely crowded, unsanitary conditions, where disease spreads rapidly through the population. To prevent mass die-offs from bacterial and fungal infections, these fish are heavily treated with antibiotics, antifungal agents, and other medications. And these substances don't simply disappear, they accumulate in the fish's tissues. When you consume this fish, you're ingesting residues of antibiotics that can contribute to antibiotic resistance in your own body, making it harder for prescribed antibiotics to work effectively when you actually need them for a real infection. But antibiotics are just the beginning of the problem. Independent laboratory testing of imported catfish has repeatedly detected residues of banned chemicals, industrial pollutants, and even substances classified as probable human carcinogens. Many of these fish are raised in waters contaminated with industrial runoff, agricultural pesticides, and heavy metals, including mercury and lead. For older adults whose kidney and liver function naturally decline with age, the ability to detoxify and eliminate these substances is significantly impaired, meaning toxins accumulate more readily and cause more damage than they would in younger people. There's another serious issue with imported farm-raised catfish that relates directly to inflammation, which is a critical concern for people over 60. These fish are typically fed unnatural diets consisting primarily of corn and soy-based feeds, and this creates a severely imbalanced ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids in their flesh. While your body needs some omega-6 fatty acids, the modern Western diet already provides far too much omega-6 relative to omega-3, and this imbalance is a major driver of chronic inflammation. When you consume farm-raised catfish with its astronomically high omega-6 content, you're essentially pouring gasoline on the fire of inflammation. For seniors dealing with arthritis, cardiovascular disease, autoimmune conditions, or any inflammatory disorder, eating this fish actively worsens your condition. And here's the final insult. Imported farm-raised catfish is nutritionally poor compared to healthier fish options. It provides low-quality protein and virtually none of the beneficial omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, or selenium that you should expect from seafood. So you're getting empty calories contaminated with toxins and inflammatory fats, with essentially no nutritional benefit to justify the health risks. Now, I want to be clear that domestic farm-raised catfish from the United States is a completely different story because it's raised under much stricter regulations with better feed quality and cleaner water. So if you love catfish, choose only domestic sources and avoid imported varieties completely. The third fish you must avoid is tuna, particularly the larger species including albacore tuna, yellowfin tuna, and big-eye tuna. And I know this recommendation surprises many people because tuna has enjoyed a reputation as a healthy, lean protein source for decades. Tuna salad sandwiches, canned tuna mixed into pasta, seared ahi tuna steaks, these are staples in millions of American households. But for people over 60, tuna hides an invisible danger that accumulates silently over time and can cause devastating neurological and cardiovascular damage. The problem is mercury, and the mechanism is straightforward but insidious. Tuna are large, long-lived predatory fish that sit near the top of the ocean food chain. They consume enormous quantities of smaller fish throughout their lifespans, And every one of those smaller fish contains trace amounts of mercury that has been absorbed from the ocean environment. As tuna consume hundreds or thousands of smaller fish over the course of many years, the mercury from all those fish accumulates and concentrates in the tuna's muscle tissue, which is exactly what you're eating when you consume tuna. This process is called biomagnification, and it results in mercury concentrations in large tuna that can be hundreds of times higher than the mercury levels in the water where they live. When you eat tuna, that mercury doesn't simply pass through your digestive system and exit your body. It gets absorbed into your bloodstream and accumulates preferentially in your brain tissue, nervous system, and kidneys. For younger people with robust detoxification systems, small amounts of mercury exposure can be handled and gradually eliminated. But for people over 60, several factors make mercury exposure far more dangerous. First, kidney function naturally declines with age, and your kidneys are your primary mechanism for eliminating mercury from your body. Second, the blood-brain barrier becomes more permeable with age, allowing more mercury to enter brain tissue where it causes oxidative damage to neurons. Third, older adults already have accumulated mercury from a lifetime of environmental exposure and previous dietary intake, so any additional mercury exposure adds to an already elevated burden. The neurological symptoms of chronic mercury toxicity are often mistaken for normal aging or early dementia, which means many seniors are suffering from mercury poisoning without anyone recognizing it. These symptoms include progressive memory loss, difficulty concentrating, confusion, personality changes, depression, anxiety, tremors, numbness and tingling in the extremities, difficulty with balance and coordination, and visual disturbances. Does this sound like symptoms you've been experiencing or symptoms you've seen in aging friends or family members? Many people assume these are inevitable consequences of getting older, when in reality they may be caused or significantly worsened by mercury toxicity from regular tuna consumption. The cardiovascular effects are equally concerning. Mercury damages the endothelial lining of blood vessels, promotes oxidative stress and inflammation, interferes with normal electrical signaling in the heart, and has been linked to increased risk of heart attack, stroke, and cardiac arrhythmias. A study published in JAMA Neurology found that seniors with elevated mercury levels from regular tuna consumption had up to 65% higher risk of cognitive decline compared to those with low mercury levels. That's not a trivial increase. That's a massive elevation in risk that could determine whether you maintain sharp cognitive function into your 80s or develop progressive dementia in your 70s. And here's what's truly shocking. Most seniors have absolutely no idea that consuming just 2 servings of albacore or big eye tuna per week can push their mercury exposure above what the Environmental Protection Agency considers safe. That means millions of older adults who believe they're making a healthy choice for lunch or dinner several times per week are actually slowly poisoning themselves with a neurotoxic heavy metal. Even canned light tuna, which is usually skipjack tuna and contains lower mercury levels than albacore, still carries enough mercury to warrant strict moderation, especially for people over 60. The problem is that canned tuna becomes a daily habit for many seniors because it's inexpensive, convenient, shelf-stable, and familiar. But with repeated exposure over months and years, mercury gradually accumulates in brain tissue and nerve cells until significant damage has occurred, and by the time symptoms become obvious, substantial harm has already been done. So does this mean you can never eat tuna again? I would say that if you genuinely love tuna, you can have a small portion of canned light tuna, perhaps once or twice per month. Maximum, but you should completely eliminate albacore, yellowfin, and big-eye tuna from your diet. And honestly, when you understand that there are numerous other fish available that provide all the protein and omega-3 fatty acids you want from seafood without the mercury risk, there's really no compelling reason to eat tuna at all after age 60. The second fish you must avoid is king mackerel, and this one causes confusion because mackerel comes in several different varieties that have dramatically different safety profiles. Atlantic mackerel and Spanish mackerel are smaller species with low mercury content that are actually quite safe and nutritious. But king mackerel is a large, long-lived predatory species that accumulates extremely high levels of mercury, making it one of the most dangerous fish you can consume. King mackerel lives for many years and feeds on other fish, which means it accumulates mercury through the same biomagnification process I described with tuna. But king mackerel actually tends to have even higher mercury concentrations than most tuna species, which is why both the FDA and the EPA explicitly list king mackerel on their do not eat advisory for children, pregnant women, and older adults. For seniors whose nervous systems are already more vulnerable due to age-related changes, mercury from king mackerel attacks nerve cells and brain tissue with devastating efficiency. The symptoms are identical to what I described for tuna: progressive memory loss, cognitive impairment, peripheral neuropathy with numbness and tingling in the feet and hands, tremors, difficulty with balance and coordination, mood disturbances including depression and anxiety, and in severe cases, symptoms that can mimic dementia. Many of these neurological symptoms develop so gradually that they're dismissed as normal aging, when in reality they represent mercury-induced nerve damage that could have been prevented by avoiding contaminated fish. The cardiovascular system also suffers tremendously from mercury exposure. Mercury promotes inflammation in blood vessel walls, increases oxidative stress that damages the endothelium, interferes with the electrical conduction system of the heart, leading to arrhythmias, and significantly increases the risk of heart attack and stroke. For seniors who already have elevated cardiovascular risk due to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or previous cardiac events, adding mercury exposure from king mackerel is like throwing gasoline on a fire. The problem is compounded by the fact that king mackerel often appears in grocery stores and on restaurant menus labeled simply as mackerel without specifying which species it actually is. Unless you specifically ask and verify that you're getting Atlantic or Spanish mackerel rather than king mackerel, you may be consuming the dangerous variety without even knowing it. This is why I recommend that unless you can absolutely confirm you're getting a safe mackerel variety, you should avoid mackerel entirely to eliminate any risk of accidentally consuming king mackerel. And here's an additional concern for seniors with compromised kidney or liver function, which is extremely common after age 60. Your body's to detoxify and eliminate mercury depends heavily on adequate kidney and liver function. When these organs are impaired, mercury accumulates even more rapidly and is retained in your body for much longer periods, dramatically increasing the risk of toxicity. So if you have any history of kidney disease, liver disease, or even just mild age-related decline in these organs, your vulnerability to mercury poisoning from king mackerel is significantly elevated. Now let me tell you about the absolute worst fish for seniors, the number one fish you should never touch after age 60. And this one will surprise many of you because it's often marketed as a healthy, affordable option. I'm talking about farm-raised tilapia. And when you understand how this fish is produced and what its consumption does to your body, you'll understand why many nutrition experts consider it more harmful than eating bacon or fast food hamburgers. Tilapia is one of the most popular fish in America. It's inexpensive, it's widely available, it has a mild flavor that appeals to people who don't particularly like fishy-tasting seafood, and it's often presented as a lean, healthy protein option. But the reality of how farm-raised tilapia is produced and what it does to your body tells a very different and disturbing story. The problems begin with the conditions in which farm-raised tilapia are raised. To maximize profits, these fish are packed into crowded ponds or cages at such high densities that they're literally swimming in their own waste. This creates a toxic environment that's a perfect breeding ground for bacteria, parasites, and diseases. To keep the fish alive in these filthy conditions until they reach market size, farmers resort to heavy use of antibiotics, fungicides, pesticides, and other chemicals. And these substances accumulate in the fish's tissues and ultimately end up in your body when you consume the fish. For seniors whose immune systems are naturally weaker and whose bodies detoxify medications and chemicals less efficiently, this chemical burden creates serious health risks. But the contamination issues are just the beginning. To cut costs even further, farm-raised tilapia are fed the cheapest possible diets consisting primarily of corn, soy, and in some operations, even animal waste products, including chicken feces. Yes, you read that correctly. Some tilapia farms use chicken manure as a protein source in their fish feed. This unnatural, low-quality diet fundamentally alters the nutritional composition of the fish's flesh, and not in a good way. The omega fatty acid profile of farm-raised tilapia is one of the worst of any food you can consume. While wild-caught fish and grass-fed meats typically have a balanced ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, fatty acids close to 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, farm-raised tilapia can have a ratio as extreme as 11 to 1, meaning 11 times more inflammatory omega-6 than anti-inflammatory omega-3. Why does this matter so much? Because omega-6 fatty acids, when consumed in excess relative to omega-3 fatty acids, are powerful promoters of inflammation in your body. They're converted into inflammatory compounds called prostaglandins and leukotrienes that drive chronic inflammation, and chronic inflammation is the underlying mechanism behind virtually every age-related disease, including arthritis, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, and cancer. Research has actually demonstrated that consuming farm-raised tilapia increases markers of inflammation in the bloodstream more than consuming bacon or hamburgers. Let that sink in for a moment. Eating fish that you think is a healthy choice actually promotes more inflammation than eating red meat or processed meat. For seniors who are already dealing with inflammatory conditions like arthritis with painful swollen joints, eating farm-raised tilapia actively worsens your inflammation and your pain. If you have cardiovascular disease, the inflammatory effects of tilapia promote plaque formation in your arteries and increase your risk of heart attack and stroke. If you're concerned about cognitive decline, the inflammation driven by tilapia consumption accelerates brain aging and neurodegeneration. But we're still not done with the problems. Testing of farm-raised tilapia has revealed contamination with dioxins, which are highly toxic industrial pollutants that accumulate in fatty tissue and remain in your body for years. Dioxins are classified as probable human carcinogens. They suppress immune function, they disrupt hormonal balance, and they promote inflammation. For seniors who are already more vulnerable to cancer and who have compromised immune systems, dioxin exposure from contaminated fish is an unacceptable risk. And unlike nutrient-dense wild-caught fish that provide abundant omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, selenium, and other beneficial nutrients, farm-raised tilapia is nutritionally bankrupt. It provides low-quality protein and virtually none of the nutrients you should expect from eating seafood. What you're getting is inflammatory fats, antibiotic residues, industrial pollutants, and empty calories that fill your stomach, but provide essentially zero nutritional benefit. This is why researchers have called farm-raised tilapia the nutritional junk food of the seafood world. It looks healthy on the surface, but beneath that mild white flesh is a cocktail of inflammation, contamination, and nutritional emptiness that actively harms your health rather than supporting it. For seniors, the consequences of regularly consuming farm-raised tilapia can be severe. Worsening arthritis pain and joint inflammation, accelerated cardiovascular disease, and increased heart attack risk, greater susceptibility to infections due to antibiotic resistance, long-term cancer risk from dioxin accumulation, and acceleration of cognitive decline through chronic inflammation. And the truly tragic part is that most people consume tilapia specifically because they believe it's a healthy, affordable choice. But when you consider that there are numerous other fish available, including some very affordable options like sardines or domestic rainbow trout, that provide superior nutrition without the contamination and inflammatory effects, there's simply no reason to put your health at risk with farm-raised tilapia. So that's the complete story on the 4 fish you should never touch after age 60. Imported farm-raised catfish loaded with antibiotics and contaminants, tuna with its devastating mercury burden, king mackerel with even higher mercury levels, and farm-raised tilapia with its inflammatory fat profile and chemical contamination. Avoiding these 4 fish is one of the most important dietary decisions you can make for protecting your brain, your heart, and your overall health as you age. Now let's shift from the dangerous to the healing, from the fish you must avoid to the fish you must eat regularly if you want to protect your cognitive function, reduce inflammation, strengthen your cardiovascular system, and actually slow the aging process. Let me walk you through the 4 best fish for seniors over 60, starting with number 4 and building to the absolute best choice. The fourth best fish for seniors is wild-caught Pacific cod, and this mild white fish deserves far more recognition than it typically receives. When most people think of healthy fish, their minds immediately jump to salmon or maybe sardines. But wild-caught Pacific cod is a nutritional powerhouse that punches far above its weight, especially for older adults. Let me explain why cod matters so much for seniors. First and foremost, cod provides an almost perfect protein profile for older adults fighting age-related muscle loss, a condition called sarcopenia that affects nearly 50% of people over 80. A single serving of Pacific cod delivers approximately 40 grams of complete, high-quality protein with all the essential amino acids your body needs to maintain and rebuild muscle tissue. But here's what makes cod special. It provides this protein in a very lean package with less than 2 grams of fat and only about 180 calories per serving. For seniors who need abundant protein to prevent muscle loss, but who also need to manage their weight and avoid excessive calorie intake, cod offers an ideal solution. But cod's benefits extend far beyond just protein. This fish is extraordinarily rich in selenium, a trace mineral that most seniors don't consume in adequate amounts. Just one portion of cod provides more than 100% of your daily selenium requirement, and selenium is absolutely critical for multiple aspects of health that decline with age. Selenium supports thyroid function, which regulates your metabolism and energy levels. It strengthens immune system function, helping you fight off infections and illnesses that become more dangerous as you age. And selenium acts as a powerful antioxidant, protecting your cells from oxidative damage, which is essentially the rusting process that occurs inside your body and accelerates aging. Research from the National Institutes of Health has demonstrated that seniors with higher selenium levels enjoy better cognitive function, lower rates of age-related disease, and even longer lifespans compared to those with low selenium. So when you choose cod, you're not just feeding your muscles, you're protecting your brain, supporting your immune system, and fighting oxidative stress at the cellular level. Beyond selenium, Pacific cod also provides significant amounts of phosphorus, which works synergistically with calcium to maintain bone density and reduce fracture risk, and vitamin B12, which is essential for nervous system function, energy production, and red blood cell formation. B12 becomes increasingly difficult to absorb as you age due to declining stomach acid production, so getting it from highly bioavailable food sources like cod is critically important for preventing anemia, fatigue, nerve problems, and cognitive impairment. Now let's talk about purity and safety, which is a major concern when it comes to seafood. Many fish species accumulate mercury and other contaminants because they live long lives and feed high on the food chain. Pacific cod is different. These fish have relatively short lifespans and feed lower on the food chain, which means they accumulate far fewer toxins. Wild-caught Pacific cod from Alaska comes from some of the cleanest, most pristine waters on Earth, and Alaska's cod fishery is one of the most carefully managed and sustainable fisheries in the world. This means you can eat Pacific cod regularly without worrying about mercury accumulation or contributing to overfishing and environmental degradation. The texture and digestibility of cod is another advantage, especially for seniors who sometimes struggle with digestion. Cod has a mild, slightly sweet flavor and a firm, flaky texture that's easy to chew and digest, making it well tolerated even by people with sensitive stomachs or digestive issues. The best way to prepare cod to preserve its nutritional value is to bake or steam it gently at moderate temperatures. High-heat cooking methods like frying or grilling at very high temperatures can damage the delicate proteins and reduce selenium content. I recommend baking cod at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 12 to 15 minutes until it flakes easily with a fork, then finishing it with a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, a squeeze of fresh lemon juice, and some herbs like parsley or dill. This preparation enhances flavor while also providing healthy fats that help your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins. Bottom line, wild-caught Pacific cod is one of the most efficient, clean, and senior-friendly proteins you can put on your plate. It builds and maintains muscle mass, protects cognitive function, supports thyroid and immune health, and guards against oxidative cellular damage, all in a low-calorie, low-contaminant package that's affordable and delicious. The third best fish for seniors is sardines. And I know what you're thinking. Those tiny little fish that come in cans? Yes, exactly those fish. Don't let their humble appearance fool you. Sardines are one of the most powerful superfoods on the planet, and they're particularly valuable for people over 60. Let me explain why sardines deserve a permanent place in your diet. First and most importantly, sardines are one of the richest natural sources of omega-3 fatty acids you can find, delivering more omega-3s per serving than almost any other seafood. These omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, are absolutely critical for seniors because they're potent anti-inflammatory compounds that combat the chronic inflammation underlying virtually every age-related disease. As you age, your body naturally produces more inflammatory chemicals, and this chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, drives joint pain, arterial damage, cognitive decline, and accelerated aging. The omega-3s in sardines act like cellular firefighters, cooling down inflammation, improving blood flow, protecting your arteries, and even reducing depression and mood disorders. Numerous studies have demonstrated that seniors who consume fatty fish like sardines at least twice per week enjoy significantly lower rates of heart disease, better mobility, less joint pain, and more stable moods compared to those who don't eat these fish. But omega-3s are just the beginning of sardines' impressive nutritional profile. Sardines are also one of the very few natural food sources of vitamin D, and this is critically important for seniors because vitamin D deficiency becomes increasingly common after age 60. Your skin becomes less efficient at converting sunlight into vitamin D. You may spend less time outdoors, and even when you are outside, you're probably using sunscreen that blocks vitamin D production. Vitamin D deficiency leads to weak bones, increased fall risk, impaired immune function, muscle weakness, and even depression. Just one can of sardines provides approximately 40% of your daily vitamin D requirement, making it one of the best dietary sources available. When you combine the vitamin D in sardines with the calcium and phosphorus from their soft, edible bones, you get the perfect nutritional trio for maintaining bone strength and preventing the osteoporosis and fractures that plague so many seniors. Think about this. Every bite of sardines delivers not just calcium, but calcium in its most bioavailable form, already perfectly balanced with the vitamin D and phosphorus that help your body absorb and utilize that calcium to build strong bones. Here's something else most people don't realize about sardines. They sit at the very bottom of the ocean food chain. Instead of eating other fish, sardines feed primarily on plankton and algae. This means they accumulate virtually no mercury or other heavy metals that concentrate as you move up the food chain. Unlike large predatory fish like tuna, king mackerel, or swordfish that accumulate dangerous levels of mercury, sardines are one of the cleanest, safest fish you can eat regularly without any concern about toxic accumulation. Beyond omega-3s, vitamin D, and calcium, sardines are also loaded with vitamin B12, which is essential for nervous system function, energy production, and preventing the anemia, fatigue, memory problems, and nerve damage that can result from B12 deficiency. As you age, B12 becomes increasingly difficult to absorb from food due to declining stomach acid and intrinsic factor production, so getting it from highly bioavailable sources like sardines is critically important. Sardines also provide high-quality, easily digestible, complete protein that helps seniors maintain muscle mass, which is essential for preventing falls, preserving independence, and maintaining metabolic health. Research has found that seniors who regularly consume sardines tend to have better cardiovascular health with lower blood pressure and healthier cholesterol profiles, stronger bones with higher bone mineral density, improved mental clarity and cognitive function, and less joint pain and inflammation compared to those who don't eat these nutrient-dense fish. And here's the beautiful thing about sardines. They're incredibly convenient, affordable, and versatile. Canned sardines are shelf-stable, require no preparation, and can be eaten straight from the can or incorporated into countless dishes. You can eat them on whole grain crackers or toast, toss them into a salad, mash them with avocado and lemon juice for a spread, or stir them into pasta with olive oil and garlic. Because they're so affordable, Eating sardines regularly is one of the most cost-effective ways to add consistent omega-3s, vitamin D, calcium, and high-quality protein to your diet. For seniors on fixed incomes who need maximum nutritional bang for their buck, sardines are absolutely unbeatable. The second best fish for seniors is wild-caught Alaskan salmon, and if there's one fish that nutritionists and physicians around the world consistently recommend as medicinal food, it's this one. For people over 60, wild-caught salmon isn't just healthy, it's genuinely transformative for your brain, heart, joints, and overall vitality. Let me explain why salmon deserves this reputation. The first and most important factor is salmon's omega-3 content, specifically the two most valuable types, EPA, which stands for eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, which stands for docosahexaenoic acid. These are the omega-3 fatty acids that your brain absolutely depends on for optimal function. In fact, DHA makes up approximately 40% of the polyunsaturated fatty acids in your brain, and adequate DHA is essential for maintaining the structure and function of neurons, the electrical signaling between brain cells, and the formation and retention of memories. Research from the University of Pittsburgh discovered that seniors with higher DHA blood levels had measurably larger brain volumes, particularly in the hippocampus, which is the memory center of the brain, and significantly better memory performance compared to those with low DHA levels. This means that consuming wild salmon doesn't just slow brain decline, it actively helps your brain maintain its structure and function even into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. But the benefits extend far beyond cognitive health. The omega-3s in salmon are also extraordinarily powerful anti-inflammatory compounds. They reduce chronic inflammation that contributes to arthritis and joint pain, atherosclerosis and cardiovascular disease, and even depression and mood disorders. Clinical studies have demonstrated that eating wild salmon at least twice per week can significantly lower C-reactive protein levels, which is a key biomarker of systemic inflammation linked to heart disease, stroke, and accelerated aging. For seniors struggling with daily aches, stiffness, and joint pain, the anti-inflammatory effects of salmon can make a noticeable and meaningful difference in comfort and mobility. Now let's talk about protein, which becomes increasingly critical as you age. Sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength, is a major driver of frailty, falls, loss of independence, and even mortality in older adults. The challenge is that as you age, your body becomes less efficient at utilizing dietary protein for muscle protein synthesis, meaning you need more protein than younger people just to maintain your existing muscle mass. Wild-caught salmon provides approximately 40 grams of premium, highly bioavailable protein per serving, giving your muscles the essential amino acids they need to maintain strength, support balance and stability, and prevent the dangerous falls that lead to fractures and hospitalization. But here's something fascinating that most people don't know about salmon. That beautiful pink-orange color isn't just visually appealing. It comes from a powerful antioxidant compound called astaxanthin. This remarkable molecule is produced by algae and accumulates in salmon as they consume krill and other small organisms that feed on the algae. Astaxanthin is one of nature's most potent antioxidants, providing cellular protection that goes far beyond what you get from more commonly known antioxidants like vitamin C and E. Research shows that astaxanthin reduces inflammation, protects skin from UV damage, and maintains elasticity, supports eye health, and protects against age-related macular degeneration, improves cardiovascular function, and even enhances physical endurance and reduces muscle fatigue. Wild-caught salmon also shines when it comes to micronutrients that seniors often lack. It's rich in selenium, which I discussed with cod, that protects against oxidative stress and supports immune and thyroid function. It provides B vitamins, including B12, B6, and niacin that support nervous system health, energy metabolism, and healthy cholesterol levels. And it's one of the best dietary sources of vitamin D, which strengthens bones, boosts immunity, and supports mood regulation. What makes wild-caught Alaskan salmon particularly safe compared to farm salmon is its purity in the way it's raised. Wild salmon swim freely in the pristine, cold waters of Alaska, feeding on their natural diet of krill, plankton, and small fish. This natural lifestyle results in fish that are inherently low in contaminants like mercury, PCBs, and dioxins that are commonly found in farmed salmon raised in crowded net pens and fed artificial diets. When it comes to preparing salmon, the method matters for preserving its nutritional value. For maximum nutrient retention, I recommend baking, steaming, or gentle grilling at moderate temperatures. Avoid cooking salmon at very high heat, which can damage the delicate omega-3 fats and reduce the bioavailability of nutrients. Pair your salmon with colorful vegetables and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, and you've created a meal that not only tastes delicious, but actively supports longevity, cognitive function, cardiovascular health, and physical vitality. Now let me reveal the number one best fish for seniors over 60, and this might surprise you because it doesn't get nearly the attention that salmon receives. I'm talking about rainbow trout, specifically farm-raised rainbow trout from the United States. Why does rainbow trout claim the top spot? Because it combines the nutritional benefits of salmon, the protein density of cod, and the safety of sardines, while being one of the cleanest, most sustainable, and most affordable options available. Let me explain why rainbow trout deserves this number one ranking. First and foremost is safety and purity. Unlike many farmed fish that are raised in questionable conditions with heavy antibiotic use and contaminated feed, rainbow trout raised in the United States are subject to strict regulations and oversight. They're raised in clean freshwater systems with carefully controlled conditions, excellent water quality, and high-quality feed. This means you don't have to worry about mercury contamination, industrial pollutants, antibiotic residues, or the inflammatory fat profiles that plague farm-raised fish like tilapia. Rainbow trout gives you the convenience and affordability of farm fish without the health risks, making it one of the most reliable seafood choices for seniors concerned about contamination. But the real magic of rainbow trout is its nutritional density. A single serving delivers approximately 1,000 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids, which is right in the optimal range for cardiovascular protection, anti-inflammatory benefits, and cognitive support. This omega-3 content rivals wild salmon while coming at a fraction of the cost. Beyond omega-3s, rainbow trout is loaded with minerals that seniors desperately need. Potassium is particularly important because nearly 70% of adults over 60 struggle with high blood pressure, and potassium helps balance sodium levels, regulate blood pressure naturally, and reduce stroke risk. Phosphorus works synergistically with calcium to maintain bone density and prevent the fractures that devastate so many older adults. Iron supports red blood cell production and helps combat the fatigue and weakness that many seniors experience. And zinc is critical for immune function, wound healing, and maintaining your senses of taste and smell, which often decline with age. The B vitamin profile of rainbow trout is equally impressive. It's particularly rich in niacin, which is vitamin B3, and niacin plays a crucial role in cardiovascular health by raising HDL cholesterol, the good cholesterol that protects your arteries, while lowering LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol that contributes to plaque formation and heart disease. For seniors at elevated risk for heart attack and stroke, getting adequate niacin from foods like rainbow trout can make a meaningful difference in cardiovascular outcomes. Rainbow trout also provides abundant vitamin B12, which keeps your nervous system functioning properly, prevents anemia and fatigue, and protects against the memory problems and cognitive impairment that can result from deficiency. Another often overlooked nutrient in rainbow trout is vitamin E, a fat-soluble antioxidant that protects cell membranes from oxidative damage, supports immune defense, and works synergistically with selenium and omega-3s to create a powerful shield against cellular aging and disease. The combination of vitamin E, selenium, and omega-3 fatty acids in rainbow trout provides comprehensive antioxidant protection that helps slow biological aging at the cellular level. From a practical standpoint, rainbow trout offers additional advantages that make it ideal for seniors. Its mild, slightly nutty flavor and tender, flaky texture make it incredibly easy to eat and digest. For older adults who sometimes find fatty fish too rich or strong tasting, rainbow trout hits the perfect balance of being nutritious without being overwhelming. It's also remarkably versatile in the kitchen. You can bake it, pan-sear it, grill it, or even poach it, and it adapts beautifully to different seasonings and preparations. This versatility means you're less likely to get bored eating it regularly, which is important for maintaining healthy eating patterns long term. Rainbow trout is also generally more affordable than wild-caught salmon while providing comparable nutritional benefits, making it an excellent choice for seniors on fixed incomes who want maximum nutrition for their food budget. And because it's raised domestically under strict environmental standards, choosing rainbow trout supports sustainable aquaculture practices in American fish farmers. Bottom line, rainbow trout is the ultimate senior-friendly fish, offering the perfect combination of safety, nutritional density, affordability, and versatility. It supports cardiovascular health, protects cognitive function, maintains bone and muscle strength, bolsters immune defense, and fights inflammation and oxidative stress, all in a clean, sustainable package that's delicious and easy to prepare. If there's one fish you could eat regularly to age stronger, healthier, and more vibrantly, rainbow trout absolutely deserves that #1 spot. So there you have it, the complete truth about fish consumption for people over 60. Some fish can silently damage your brain, poison your nervous system with mercury, promote chronic inflammation, and accelerate aging, while others can nourish every cell in your body, protect your memory, strengthen your heart, reduce pain and inflammation, and literally help you age more slowly at the biological level. The choice you make about which fish to eat is not trivial. It's one of the most important dietary decisions you can make for your long-term health and quality of life. If you continue eating the wrong fish like farm-raised tilapia, tuna, king mackerel, or imported catfish, the risks quietly accumulate over time. Mercury building up in your brain causing progressive cognitive decline, inflammatory fats promoting arthritis pain and cardiovascular disease, toxins and contaminants burdening your liver and kidneys, and accelerated biological aging that robs you of vitality and independence. But if you choose the right fish like rainbow trout, wild-caught salmon, sardines, or Pacific cod, you're giving your body powerful medicine with every meal: omega-3 fatty acids that cool inflammation and protect your brain, high-quality protein that maintains muscle mass and strength, critical vitamins and minerals that support every system in your body, and antioxidants that fight cellular aging from the inside out. What you put on your plate today becomes the quality of your life tomorrow and the years beyond. It determines whether you'll maintain the strength to carry groceries and play with grandchildren, the cognitive sharpness to enjoy conversations and pursue interests, the physical resilience to remain independent, and the vitality to truly enjoy your later years rather than just surviving them. And remember, you don't have to completely transform your diet overnight. Start with small, manageable changes. This week, swap out one serving of a dangerous fish for one healing fish. Next week, add a second serving of good fish. Over time, these small steps compound into a dietary pattern that actively supports healthy aging rather than undermining it. At my practice and through this channel, I believe that aging should never mean inevitable decline. With the right information and the right choices, your best years can absolutely still be ahead of you. If you found this video valuable, please hit that like button to help the YouTube algorithm share this information with other people who need it. Subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos where I'll continue sharing evidence-based strategies for healthy aging. And share this video with any friends or family members who love seafood and want to make informed choices about which fish support their health and which ones undermine it. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what fish do you currently eat most often? And after watching this video, are you planning to make any changes to your seafood choices? I read and respond to as many comments as possible, and I love hearing about your experiences, your questions, and your health journeys. Here's to making smart, science-backed choices that support a longer, stronger, healthier life. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of your health, and I'll see you in the next video.